So this is our final session until tomorrow morning, Bhagavatam class at the temple. And tomorrow night also, there'll be a special program on Prabhupada Remembrance Night. So if you're looking for more nectar, more juice, Sydney Temple awaits you tomorrow. This process of Sraddha to Prema is a very sublime process. Even if you're not all the way there, actually it's very sublime from the very beginning. Because once you're on the pathway back to Godhead, it's ecstatic to know you're getting out of this place. I mean, this place is pretty miserable. And we've been stuck here for millions and millions of lifetimes. To know that we're actually on the way out, I mean, that's pretty exciting. It's pretty ecstatic. No more birth and death. Punarjanmana vidyate. They never take birth again. All you have to do is take this bhakti path in all seriousness. Whatever level you're on, whether it's Shraddha, Sadhusanga, Bhajana Kriya, Anartana Vitti, Nishta, Ruci, Asakti, Bhava or Prema, you're on your way back to Godhead. And that's really ecstatic news. So while we're going to read a little bit here, these different stages are not mentioned. These highest levels are mentioned only briefly here by Srila Prabhupada. So now we will read Prabhupada's words in this connection. If a person is fortunate enough to vanquish all misgivings caused by material existence and rise up to the state of Nishtha, he can then rise to the stages of Ruci, taste, and Asakti, attachment for the Lord. Note here that that's a requirement. If you want Ruci and Asakti, you have to come to Nishtha. Prabhupada is describing here, if you can come to Nishtha, then you can go to Ruci and Asakti. He doesn't talk about jumping over, skipping a step. He says, if you're fortunate enough to come to Nishtha, which we discussed in detail in our last meeting, becoming fixed in Krishna consciousness, solid, firm faith. See, in the beginning we have, our faith is there, but it's not firm yet. It's a neophyte's faith. When that faith becomes completely unflinching faith, that's called firm faith. That's the Nishtha stage. After you get initiated, after you give up all your bad habits, you become very clean in your thoughts, your words, and your deeds. And you're almost always fixed in Krishna consciousness. That's Nishtha. And then from there you go to Ruci, where you start relishing the most wonderful, wonderful taste. And as I quoted in the earlier session, Rupa Goswami describes that Ruci to where just one utterance of Krishna has so much nectar in it that millions of tongues and millions of ears can't begin to even relish a tiny, insignificant, infinitesimal fraction of that nectar, which is oozing out of one pure utterance of Krishna. So Ruci is a very wonderful platform, and you truly get that higher taste. In the beginning, our taste may depend on externals. Well, I can relish the kirtan if the singer is good, if the mridanga is playing on the beat, then I can relish the kirtan. But if the mridanga is offbeat and the singer is not professional standard, then I don't relish it so much. But when you really get to pure Ruci, it can be completely out of tune. The drum can be totally offbeat, and still you're relishing the name. You see? In the beginning, we have some taste for the kirtan, but if the kirtan leader is off key, we go, ooh. You see? The dramas all people go, oh, come on. But if you really have ruci, then just to hear the name Krishna, whether it's in tune, out of tune, on the beat or off the beat, doesn't matter. You get to really, you come to pure ruci platform. It's just completely ecstatic in any condition. And then Asakti, attachment for the Lord. Actually, Krishna describes Asakti in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text number 1. Is there a Gita here? He describes Asakti there. Attachment for the Lord. In other words, in the beginning, we're attached to getting out of misery. It's like it's stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Chaturvidha bhajante mang janaso kritinorjuna atoja gyasya artarti gyanicha bharatarshaba. Four kinds of men begin to render, O Scion of Bharata, four kinds of pious men begin to render devotional service, unto me. The distressed, the desire of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is seeking knowledge of the Absolute. So are those people attached to Krishna? No. One wants to get free of his misery. One is curious. One, he wants to satisfy his curiosity. One wants money. The other wants knowledge. But none of these four are directly attached to Krishna. When one comes to Asakti, you're attached to Krishna. The person Krishna is your object of love, it's your object of meditation. And Prabhupada actually points out that on the Asakti stage, you actually realize what is your relationship with Krishna. So it's a very powerful stage to come to, and we hope to get there as soon as possible, because it's the higher you go, the sweeter it gets. So this is encouragement for us who are struggling right now on the platform of Anartha Nivritti, and we hear about these higher levels, and we realize what kind of nectar is out there. And then it's an encouragement for us. You see, right now we're still battling it out with our senses. The senses are accustomed to all kinds of sense gratification. And now I've taken up Krishna consciousness. And the senses are addicted to being gratified. But now, as a devotee, my program is to just give the senses what I need, or what they need, to be healthy. Keep body and soul together, as Prabhupada explained. So the senses don't like them. You say, no, wait a minute, I want to be, you've overindulged me in the past, and I'm used to being overindulged, so now you kindly continue overindulging me, because that's my habit. You see, the senses say that. So the biggest battle is in World War II, they had the battle of, they had D-Day, there's so many big battles and famous wars. This is the biggest battle in history. The battle of the devotee with his senses. This is a much more significant battle than D-Day, or the Battle of the Bulge, or the Battle of Iwo Jima, or any of these famous battles from World War I or World War II, or the Battle of Kurukshetra even, you see, in the Vedic history. This battle that the devotee has with his own senses, this is the most significant battle. Because the senses are screaming for that, they want that indulgence. Indulge me, indulge me, indulge me, indulge me. And one has to be very callous to the demands of the senses. This is how we pass through the stage of Anartha Nivritti, to become very, very, very callous to the demands of the senses. And then we can go to these higher stages. So now we'll look at what Krishna says. Prabhupada actually quoted this verse when he was talking about Asakti. He quoted this verse. Shri Bhagavan Nuvacha Maya Sakta Mana Parata Yogam Yunjam madashrayaha asangshayang samagrang mangyata jagyashi tachtrinu. Supreme Personality of Godhead said, now hear, O son of Pritha, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. So this means when you actually come to the stage of Asakti, when your mind is attached to Krishna, it's no longer hankering for overindulgence of the senses, our present position, you see. When we get to that point, then we can really become Krishna conscious, free from doubt. So what can we learn from this? We can learn that as long as I'm still hankering for material sense gratification, then I will have doubts. Because our philosophy, honestly speaking, is molded by our desires. People will adjust their philosophy according to their desire. Whatever they desire, they'll invent a philosophy to justify that desire. Just like that magazine, Playboy magazine, of course we don't read, but they had what was called the Playboy philosophy, you see. So they had their whole philosophy that justified utilizing women as objects of sense gratification. Because they had the desire for lust, therefore they made a philosophy to justify them. So as long as we have some desire for material sense gratification, then we will be doubtful of the teachings of Krishna. But when we become completely attached to Krishna, when we come to that point where we've subdued our senses, these senses are what, the demands of these senses are what interrupts our Krishna consciousness. On the bhajana kriya stage, again and again and again, our senses, our Krishna consciousness is broken by these demands of the senses. So when that anartha, when we become really solidly situated in subduing the senses, that's the nishta stage, and then at that point, our being interrupted in our Krishna consciousness becomes very rare. Rarer still in Ruci, and even rarer still in Asakti. Practically becomes unheard of in the Asakti stage. So we'll continue Prabhupada's reading, what Prabhupada's saying here about this. Asakti is the beginning of love of Godhead. By progressing, one then advances to the stage of relishing a reciprocal exchange with the Lord in ecstasy, Bhava. Every living entity is eternally related to the Supreme Lord, and this relationship may be in any one of many transcendental humors. At the stage called Asakti, attachment, a person can understand his relationship with the Supreme Lord. So that's pretty advanced. You can actually understand one's rasa. So we can look at this and think, well, maybe I may not even achieve this stage before I leave my body. Okay. I may actually leave my body not having a change. This is a very high stage to actually understand your relationship with Krishna. So we may not even reach this stage before we leave our bodies. But if we leave our bodies in full Krishna consciousness, then those stages will naturally come to us. You see. We'll understand what is my relationship with Krishna. We will have loving exchange, and we will be fully absorbed in direct, constant, personal and loving exchange with the Supreme Lord. And then Prabhupada concludes it. When he understands his position, he begins reciprocating with the Lord. By constant reciprocation with the Lord, the devotee is elevated to the highest stage of love of Godhead, Prema. So we don't know, that's far, far beyond us at this point. Now there are certain so-called gurus who will tell you what your relationship with Krishna is. But you should avoid them. First of all, what's the proof they really know? And second of all, Prabhupada would say of such things that you do not require. We should not try to jump ahead thinking, well, I'm this or that in relationship with Krishna. No. We should simply remain the humble servant of my spiritual master. That's how, if you want to realize the perfection of Krishna consciousness. Don't try to imagine, well, I think my relationship with this, I think it'll all come automatically if we simply place ourselves as the humble servant of my spiritual master. As I've quoted many, many times from the Adi Purana, if you want to be a devotee of Krishna, you have to be the devotee of the devotee. So these higher states are only achieved to the extent that I'm a devotee of the devotee. It's not that, well, if I get to Asakti now I can just, tell my guru to get lost. You see, I've reached Asakti, I don't need you anymore, Guru Maharaj. Now I know my relationship with Krishna. No, not like that. Krishna will never accept such a person. Never accept. So, we don't really have to worry about how to go from, Ruci to Asakti, Asakti to Bhava, Bhava to... We don't have to worry about that. Not necessary. Just be a completely sold-out servant of your spiritual master, following the instructions given by Srila Prabhupada with full sincerity of attitude. Actually, that reminds me of what Prabhupada wrote me in one letter. Prabhupada described to me a situation where I could directly interact with Krishna, which is what we're reading about here in these. He told me, he said, if you will simply engage in devotional service 24 hours a day with a full sincerity of attitude, then Krishna will personally come and answer all of your questions. So it's not imagination. It's not only for, people 5,000 years ago or 500 years ago. Prabhupada was telling Sankarshan Das Brahmachari, maybe a 24-year-old brahmachari, he was telling me these things. He said, if you engage in devotional service with full sincerity of attitude, then Krishna will come and personally answer all of your questions. So Prabhupada knows, because he was experiencing that himself. Prabhupada was there already, he was experiencing it. He could directly ask Krishna, just like when Prabhupada wrote the 5th canto. It's pretty mind-boggling stuff, the universal description. Prabhupada said, Krishna helped me to write the purport. And that's a fact. Prabhupada's not just saying that. Krishna actually did guide Prabhupada how to write the purports. Even Prabhupada, he expressed even Prabhupada found the 5th canto to be somewhat of a challenge, as we also do. But Krishna guided him exactly what to say. So these higher stages can be attained, as Prabhupada indicated to me, to be fully engaged with full sincerity of attitude 24 hours a day. That's the key. Always keep yourself engaged 24 hours a day with full sincerity of attitude. And then in due course of time, everything will come. All these higher stages will come. And we'll achieve that perfectional stage of Krishna Prema, where we can see Krishna within and without at every minute. And as I pointed out in an earlier session, would you like to speed it up? Would you like to accelerate the process of advancement? I'd like to. Prabhupada ordered me to become qualified to see Krishna face to face. So I'd love to accelerate it, because then I'd be obeying Prabhupada's order, Prabhupada directly told me I should qualify myself to see Krishna face to face. So this verse I quoted earlier from the Pajavali of Rupa Goswami, this is the greatest encouragement. You want to accelerate your advancement, you want to come to the highest possible stage as soon as possible? Krishna bhakti rasa bhavitamati kriyatang yadi kuto pilabhyate tattalayang api muyame kalam janma kotir sukritarina labhyate. Pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness cannot be attained even by executing pious activities in hundreds and thousands and millions of lifetimes. It can be had by one thing and one thing only, and that is the intense greed to attain it. If it is available somewhere, one purchases it without delay. So I know that Prabhupada has given me a place where it's available. I know that pure bhakti, Krishna Prema, is available here in what Prabhupada has given. So I sometimes pray like that. I beg Prabhupada, please, Srila Prabhupada, give me Krishna Prema. Please, Prabhupada, just intensely, like a greedy person. Or to Lord Krishna or Lord Chaitanya. In this way, we can actually beg for this perfection of Krishna consciousness, as Rupa Goswami has indicated to us. There's only one way to get it. You got to be greedy for it, and that's all. And what is that old saying? The ducks that quack the loudest get the most crumbs. So how loud will you quack? Will you quack? Quack, quack. How loud will you quack for pure bhakti? You say, well, I'm so busy. Where's my time to quack? No, your japa is your quacking time, you see. Japa is your quacking time. You're begging Krishna, please give me pure devotional service. Please, Krishna, give me pure devotional service. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I'm pleading with you, and in this connection, I'll give you a nice story. Many years ago, it's around 1980, when Pujari came from, I think, where is Chandan? What is that temple of Advaitacharya? Where? Ekachakra?
Shantipur.
Huh? Santipur. So there's a house of Advaitacharya there? Yes. Yes. So around there's a temple there. So in around 1980, the Pujari came from there to our Mayapur temple. And he said, I have a story to tell you. Many, many years ago, there was one devotee who used to come often to this temple, and he would sit in the back, and he was so intensely, sometimes with tears in the eyes, he was intensely chanting Hare Krishna. And so the Pujari, he made friends with this devotee, and he said, my name is, I don't know if he was a sannyasi yet, he said Abhai Charanadavinda or Bhaktivedanta Swami, whichever it was. And he said, my guru has given me an order that I must spread Krishna consciousness to the English-speaking world, but it's like an impossible thing to do. I don't know how I can possibly do this, so I'm just coming and begging in this place this place of Advaitacharya, where he called out for Lord Chaitanya with intense pleas. And by actually the intense pleas of Advaitacharya pierced the coverings of the universe and induced Lord Chaitanya to appear. So Srila Prabhupada went there and he was crying, begging for the mercy that he could successfully carry out the order of his spiritual master. And then this Pujari, he didn't see that by Bhaktivedanta Swami anymore. He didn't see him anymore. For many years he never saw him. And then one day he got a Back to Godhead magazine and he saw the whole thing, what had happened. There was Mayapur, all the West Indies. He said, he did it! And he was so excited, he came to the Mayapur temple to tell this whole story to the devotees, you see. So that, you see, that's how Prabhupada became qualified to do the impossible thing that he was able to accomplish. Because he was intensely petitioning the Lord, just as Advaitacharya was petitioning the Lord. So we have to also intensely petition the Lord in this way, you see. by this intense begging. We can, in our kirtan, in our japa, when we're chanting Hare Krishna, should always be this begging mood. Begging, begging, pleading, pleading, pleading. That we can get this thing called Krishna Prema, Krishna Bhakti Rasa. You see? We can get this rarest of all gems, Krishna consciousness. So this is how we can progress from our present struggling neophyte stage, the anartha-nivritti stage, for those of us who are initiated, and those who are not. Well, you're not even up to anartha-vritti yet. You got to get. Those who aren't initiated, you're at sadhu sangha. You see. If you're not initiated, well, it's time to go to bhajana kriya, where you can go to anartha-nivritti. For those of us initiates, well, we're struggling along at Vajana Kriya and trying to move to that Anartha Nivritti so we can finally begin to Nishta. So anyway, this gives us some idea of this wonderful process, this wonderful verses from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Such wonderful verses. So nice verses these are. First canto, chapter 4, texts 15 and 16 from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So now, we'll take some questions. This is the final question and answer session. Maharaj, retreat was great, but we start working in the material world. Hard to keep enthusiasm we had with the association of devotees, how to maintain it. Yat karoshi yadasnasi yat johosi dadasi yat yat tapashyashi konteya tat kadishva badarpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, give away, as well as whatever austerities you may perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering unto me. So if you will take your Monday morning austerity, how many of you find working the job to be an austerity? Yeah, generally, of course, entrepreneurs sometimes, maybe it's an adventure. But generally, working a job is really, really an austerity. So Krishna says, whatever austerity you may do that for me. So that means, okay, I'm working this job, the result of the job is money, so that money should all be spent for Krishna. I should give as much as I can to support the preachers, support the temple. And I should, whatever I spend directly on myself and my family, that should all be spent in a way that's pleasing to Krishna. We have to monitor how we spend the money very carefully. Because if you spend your money in a Krishna conscious way, then you're going to feel good about earning it. There'll be a meaning and a purpose if that money is being spent Krishna consciously, judiciously, in the service of Krishna. Then that earning of the money will be transcendentalized. So that's one way to keep your enthusiasm. And the other way is you have to have a really good sadhana before you go to work. I don't advise, getting up at the last minute, chanting while you're driving, you got one hand in your bead bag and the other hand on the steering wheel, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Trying to get your round done while you're driving to work. That's not meditation. Japa is meditation. That means no distraction. You sit in a quiet place where there's no distractions. Our other devotees are also chanting, that's the same thing. You find a place where there's simply nothing, no business except to dive deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into Harinam. So if you have very, very good quality rounds, you see, I advise, I'm just repeating what Prabhupada said, Prabhupada advises 16 rounds before sunrise. Because once the sun comes up, the mode of passion comes in, Rajaguna. Go here, go there, the phone rings, the doorbell rings, so many distractions. And a good example is my godbrother Ramnath Sukha Prabhu. He was the cook in our Atlanta temple. This is back in the days when the Atlanta temple was a hubbub. I mean, not hubbub, a hub. Yes, it was a center, like a chakra of book distribution for our movement. Devotees would go into the hubbub of the airport, the Atlanta airport, and they were distributing books like anything. Huge numbers of books would go out in that airport. And so these devotees, the whole army of devotees, some devotees were going around in vans. These devotees were working really hard distributing books, and they were hungry, So there was one devotee, his service was to cook the prasadam for all these, fired up, hard-working book distributors. You can imagine how much prasadam he had to cook for them. And also cook for the deities too. He had to cover everything. It was all on one devotee. And his service began right after Mangalarti. And it went the whole day. So where's he going to chant his round? How's he going to get good japa done? So this devotee was very intelligent, my godbrother Ramnath Sukha Prabhu. He would get up at 2 o'clock every morning. And he would take his shower, he'd go down to that temple room. It's completely peaceful, no distractions, no interruptions. He would chant 16 really good rounds during the before Mangalarti. And then when all the devotees charged down to the prasadam room for breakfast, he was up in the brahmacharya ashram. The brahmacharya ashram is usually a pretty noisy place during the day, you see. So when all the devotees are down there in the prasadam room, he went up there, he is regulated. You could set your watch for Ramnath Sukha Prabhu. Every day, at a certain time, he was up there completely sound asleep on his sleeping bag. We didn't have beds in those days. You just roll your sleeping bag out on the floor. If you're really luxurious, you had a little mat under your sleeping bag. I don't think we even had mats in those days. But we didn't have mats. We just had our sleeping bags, and that was it. But every day you would see Ramnath Sukha, just like clockwork. Every day he'd be up there sound asleep. He'd get a good solid rest to make up for getting up early, and then he would just work the whole day, and he was a very blissful devotee. And all the devotees went to Mayapur, practically the whole temple, and I had to stay back for some reason. He had to stay back because he was cooking for the deities. But he made some rasagula, and he bottled it up, he sealed it up nicely so it wouldn't leak, and they gave those rasagulas from Ramnath Sukha Prabhu to Prabhupada in Mayapur. And Prabhupada was so much relishing those rasagulas. In fact, Prabhupada said at that time, he said, rasagula is not a sweet, it's a tonic. But don't use that as an excuse to overeat rasagulas now. But anyway, Prabhupada so much appreciated. We got it there in Atlanta. We got there was no internet and email in those days. In Mayapur, there was no telephone either, really. But we got a telegram from Mayapur. Prabhupada wants more of those rasagulas. So he was so ecstatic. He was making the rasagulas, and he shipped them off to Mayapur, you see, to please Prabhupada. So I was seeing that, and even though he had a very intense schedule, starting at 5 o'clock in the morning or 5:15 in the morning, a very intense schedule, but still he found a way to chant really good rounds. And he was in such a good consciousness that his cooking, his rasagulas, Prabhupada was so ecstatic he wanted his rasagulas shipped halfway around the world, just so he could have another one of Ramnath Sukha's rasagulas, you see. So do you think that had anything to do with his japa? Yes, it did. Because he was chanting good rounds. He could cook not in an agitated way, I gotta get this cooking done. No. He was in a good consciousness. He could cook very nicely and put his heart and soul into that cooking. So in this way, whatever you're doing, you see, find a way to rise early in the morning as far as possible and dive deep, deep, deep into that Namamrita Sindhu, the nectarian ocean of the names. And then you'll have very good connection with Krishna. And then you go to work, Yamang pashyati sarvatra, sarvang chamai pashyati, tasyahang na pranashami, sochamena pranashyati. When you go to work, it won't look like it did those days when you didn't chant good rounds. That work will, you'll actually, as Bhagavad Gita says, for one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. So you'll see it in a Krishna conscious way. And learning verses is very helpful too. After I spent 14 years of the brahmachari life, I took an opportunity that I saw would help my preaching actually. I had an opportunity to have the association of a very advanced devotee to assist me in my preaching activities. This devotee here, Vishnu Priya Devi Dasi. So anyway, I took up married life, and that time they said, we want all the householders now to be ideal householders, to get jobs and give money to the temple from your job. Give a month, give a portion of your earnings. We want all the householders to become ideal grihastas. They should all get jobs, and they should all give a portion of their income every month to the temple. That's grihastha. He works, and every month he gives donation to the temple automatically. Not that he just keeps his money. That's called grihamaiti, you see. Grihastha gives regular monthly. So, even though I didn't make very much, but I did them. And so I went to some computer training school to learn how to be a computer programmer. And what I started doing at that time was I was memorizing verses. And I found it was really amazing. I would be driving through downtown Dallas on the way to the computer school. And I'd be meditating on these verses. And Dallas looked different. Matak sarvam midang protam sutri mani gana iva. In this way, you see, O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung upon a thread. So I was driving through Dallas and went, wow, this is amazing. I was looking at all the buildings, and I said, these are pearls on the thread, and Krishna is the thread that's holding the whole city of Dallas together. You pull Krishna out, it's like it's tailing a string out of the pearl. The whole city will just go, it'll collapse. So I was seeing how Krishna was holding up the whole city of Dallas, you see. So this is what I was doing, and then in the elevator going up to the classroom, I'd be meditating on some verse. So I found that by chanting good rounds and by meditating on the verses of the Bhagavad Gita, that even in the midst of my ordinary duties, working out in the material world, grihastha type duties, that I was completely enlivened in Krishna consciousness with transcendental vision. Okay, next one. Maharaj, you mentioned material sense gratification. Is there spiritual sense gratification? Oh, of course there is. Spiritual sense gratification means to gratify the senses of Krishna. That's called spiritual sense gratification. When you satisfy Krishna, then you become satisfied automatically. Govindam. Govinda means he who gives pleasure to the senses. So when you satisfy Krishna's senses, then your senses automatically become satisfied. That's spiritual sense gratification. It's not based on what you can get. The question is, isn't it? No, it's based on what you can give. Spiritual sense gratification is based on what you can give. Material sense gratification is based on what you can get. Maharaj Dandavat, many times we do chanting, kirtan, mechanically without love, how to do devotional activity with prema. Well, if you don't have prema, then just beg for prema. As I was pointing out, do everything in a way of begging Krishna for prema. Right now, my Lord, I'm a lusty character, I'm angry, I'm greedy, I'm lazy, I got all these bad qualities, but Krishna, please bless me with prema. I'm tired of suffering in this horrible state of mind. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. And one say, well, is it wrong to beg for prema? Maybe you should beg for an artana vritti, maybe you should just beg the next step. Is it wrong to beg for it's okay to beg for prema. It's okay to beg for prema, nothing wrong. You can say, Krishna, please give me prema. There's no harm begging for Krishna prema. Not that you have to say, well, now I should only beg for Asakti, now I should only beg for Ruci, I shouldn't beg for... No. There's nothing wrong begging for prema. Hare Krishna means you're begging for prema. Why is Krishna blue? Krishna is blue because finds it to really be a cool color. Same question now, and very small that it is. Why is Krishna blue? Krishna can be what I'm serious. Krishna can be whatever color he wants to be. Why, when you go to the store, do you pick out a certain, you go to the store and you pick out a shirt? Why do you? Everyone has certain colors they like. I mean, everyone has their taste in colors. So do you think Krishna doesn't have a taste in colors? Actually, Krishna thinks, what complexion will be the most attractive to Radharani? You see? And he manifests that complexion. What's going to be the most attractive color that I can... Krishna can be any color he wants. Just by his desire, he can change colors 1,000,000 times a day if he wants to. But Krishna manifests that color which will be most attractive to Srimati Radharani. And you can say, why does she like blue then? Well, you have to ask Radharani. My dear mother, please tell me, why do you like that bluish color of Krishna? Is there a specific reason Krishna appears as himself and in the mood of Srimati Radharani in this particular planet, in this whole universe? Yes. Again, it's taste, it's rasa. There's no place like home. That famous movie in America, there was an old famous classic movie. And the very end, the ending mantra of the movie that brought Dorothy back to her home was, there's no place like home, there's no place like home, there's no place like home. So for Krishna, there's no place like home, and what does that mean for Krishna? That means where there is Jamuna and where there is Govardhan. You see, that's home. Where there's Jamuna. So because Jamuna and Govardhan are on this planet, therefore there's no place like this planet for Krishna. This is the planet in this universe where Jamuna and Govardhan come. Are we still in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela? Oh yes. This ISKCON is part of Chaitanya Leela. You are in Gora Leela. Just like you can read about Gora Leela in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is Gora Leela happening right around you right now. You're in the middle of Gora Leela. It's the Prabhupada branch of Gora Leela. Why do we sing Jai Radha Madhava before Bhagavatam class? Because Prabhupada taught us to do them. It's a simple thing. Prabhupada taught us to sing Jai Radha Madhava before the Bhagavatam class. Why did he do that? You can ask Prabhupada when you go back to Godhead. But one thing is, Prabhupada said it is a window to the spiritual world. So Prabhupada actually sometimes passed through that window. He would lose external consciousness and actually pass through the window when he was chanting Jai Radha Madhava. It's a very special song. So when we chant Jai Radha Madhava, we should try to go as deep as we possibly can, and who knows, someday if we go deep enough into chanting Jai Radha Madhava, we can also pass through the windows. And that's possible for us too. It's a very advanced stage, but if we keep striving for that full deep absorption in Jai Radha Madhava, someday we can also pass through the window and actually see the pastimes of Krishna. During Tulsi Puja, in the temple bhajan book, it says Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi, not Vishnu Bhakti Pari Devi, which is correct. Either one is correct. I discussed this with the editors at our BBT, because when Prabhupada first taught us to chant, if you look in the database at the letters that Prabhupada first wrote to train the devotees how to worship Tulsi Devi, it is Vishnu Bhakti. Prabhupada personally wrote us that we should chant Vishnu Bhakti. So I raised this point with Dravida, who is the editor for the BBT. Why you have Krishna in there when Prabhupada, and he knows that the letter that says Vishnu. He said that one time in Vrindavan, Prabhupada said it should be Krishna. But he admitted actually there was stronger evidence for Vishnu than there was for Krishna. Because actually a written letter by Prabhupada to say, well, Prabhupada one time said, well, who did he say it to and where's the proof? But anyway, either way it's okay because Krishna is Vishnu and Vishnu is Krishna. So either way you're okay. I personally, whoever's leading it, I go with them. If they say Vishnu, I say Vishnu. And so of course sometimes I forget. I normally say Vishnu because that's how I was trained by Prabhupada. But you can, if the leader feels inspired to go Krishna, I will generally go Krishna. Just like Dinabandhu Prabhu, who's really into Tulsi Devi, he was saying Krishna. So when I was with him the other day, he sang Krishna, and I sang it too. But then one time I forgot, and I said Vishnu out of habit. Because I normally say Vishnu. But either way, you're okay. Either way. Okay, let's see. Hare Krishna, what is the best way to offer our respects to senior Vaishnavas? Dandavat. Vanshakapatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patiranang bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Should we offer pranams all the time, even though it may be uncomfortable for them? Well, first of all, if the person is your spiritual master, then whenever you see him, you offer obeisances. When you enter a room and he's there, you offer your obeisances. When you leave the room that he's in, you offer your obeisances. If he enters the room where you are, you offer obeisances. If he leaves the room where you are, you offer obeisances. With your initiating spiritual master, it's very strict. Obeisances, 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 obeisances. Now with other senior devotees, you can offer... you should offer when you first see them, every day you should offer your obeisances to them. Now, if it's uncomfortable for them, for the spiritual master, yes, it may be uncomfortable for the spiritual master to accept so much worship, but that's his duty. He may find it embarrassing and uncomfortable. The people are bowing down to me so much, but it's his duty, his responsibility to do that. It's an austerity for the spiritual master to accept worship. But he has to do that because it's his duty on behalf of the previous acharyas to accept that respect that is meant for the whole line of acharyas actually, because he's the one who's physically present. He doesn't think I deserve this, but he thinks it's my duty to accept this on behalf of Srila Prabhupada and all the previous acharyas. It's my responsibility to do this so the disciple has the opportunity to connect with these great acharyas. How do we become attached to chanting the holy name while in the Sraddha stage? Well, by sadhu sangha. By associating with other chanters, you will... In other words, if you associate with those who have more attachment than you and more taste from you, then by their association you will also get taste. Is it possible to have a little bit of the Ruci stage while being in the Sraddha? Yes. We get a little shadow of Ruci even in the very beginning. Otherwise, how are we going on with this practice? There's a little sample of Ruci even in the very beginning. We're relishing a wonderful taste even right now. Even while I'm speaking these words, it's a very sweet taste I'm experiencing. So I may not be in the Ruci stage, but I'm getting some Ruci, you see, from explaining this to you. So yes, there is taste even from the very beginning. But that is called shadow taste in the beginning. We're getting a shadow of the real thing, but the real thing is so powerful and wonderful that even the shadow is ecstatic. You see, when Ruci really becomes established, then there's practically no interruptions for your Krishna consciousness. Just the thought of Krishna, you become ecstatic. You just think about Krishna. The thought of Krishna just puts you into a state of ecstasy. You see, that's Ruci. Just the thought of Krishna gives you so much taste. Or saying Krishna even once, it gives you so much taste. So we're not there yet. But we do get some sweetness, some taste, even in the beginning stages. Are we allowed to listen to pastimes of Shri Nandanandana and Srimati Radharani? Yes, you should. We have our Krishna book. We have Nectar Devotion gives all kinds of intimate pastimes of Krishna and the gopis. So one should read these authorized descriptions of the pastimes of Krishna and Radharani in Prabhupada's books. But I don't advise going outside of Prabhupada's books. I advise that one should stick within Prabhupada's books. There's so many books of Prabhupada. Have we carefully read all of Prabhupada's books? If you haven't, there's really no reason to read other books. We should stick with Srila Prabhupada's books. What should we avoid listening to when we are neophytes? Mundane katha. Actually, at every step, we should avoid topics which are not Krishna conscious. Should always avoid them. Now, one may discuss other things that are related to service. Just like how to change the Sankirtan van, has a flat tire, and you need to change the flat tire, and then the devotee tells you, you get on your mobile phone, say, Prabhu, I have a flat tire, and he starts to tell you how to change the flat tire. He said, Prabhu, but I'm only supposed to hear about Krishna. No, not fanatical like that, but no, it's those things for Krishna's service also. You see, how to change the flat tire in the service of Krishna, that is also Krishna Katha. The Krishna Katha is those things which are directly glorifying Krishna, directly glorifying the devotees of Krishna, and those things which are necessary for the service of Krishna. That's all Krishna Katha. Okay? We're ending at 5:30. Is there any... What time should I stop this question and answer session? 5:30? Okay. So send more questions. Oh, there's... Okay. Does Sikshastakam prayers related to Sraddha, the Prema stage? There may be some analysis of this. I don't remember if they have been analyzed in terms of the Prema, the Sraddha to Prema pathway. Be interesting if they are. I'd be interested to know where that is written, because I may be giving more of these seminars. It's a very enlivening seminar, actually, Sraddha to Prema. If it is described somewhere that how the Shikshastaka relates to this, I'd love to know where that's written about. If anybody finds it, let me know. Hare Krishna Gurudev. Why in ISKCON only they not promote to Kshatriyas, eliminate people who are not following them? Why don't they promote to the Kshatriyas to eliminate the people who are not following the mission of Srila Prabhupada and trying to give a bad name to ISKCON and the movement? You're talking about killing them? That's what we say, eliminate them. Okay? Go to the Ritvik camp, and all the enemies of ISKCON, just go there and blow them away with a machine gun? Is that what you're talking about? Well, that's not our preaching method. To eliminate those persons who are anti-ISKCON. If we were to take that kind of an approach, we would find that because there's many people who are against the principles of ISKCON, and we'd have to practically annihilate the entire human civilization. And before we got very far, I guarantee you, they would eliminate us. So we're not really powerful enough to do that kind of thing. Of course, if we The fact is, if ISKCON was powerful enough to take over the leading governments, like the U.S. government was run by ISKCON men, and we had all that military power, the nuclear missiles, we could use military strength to curb down countries that refuse to close their slaughterhouses. We could do that. It's a fact. But you have to be very powerful to get away with it. We're not powerful to do that. So our program is simply to defeat the demoniac mentality, not the demons themselves. That is Chaitanya's mission. When he was going to kill Jagai Madai, but Lord Nityananda told him, "My dear Lord, if you kill these fellows, you're going to have to go ahead and wipe out everybody else too. If you eliminate them, you have to eliminate everybody in this age. So better spare them, my Lord." He said, "All right, if they give up their sinful life and surrender, I will do." So they did them. So our mood is like Lord Chaitanya's, Lord Nityananda's mercy, to have compassion on the Jagai Madais, not to eliminate them. Eliminate their demoniac mentality by Harinam Sankirtan, by Prashadam, by Glub Jamans, etc. Why does Krishna choose the name to be called Krishna? Actually, Krishna doesn't choose any one particular name. That this is my name, for my passport. Krishna doesn't choose any one particular name. He has unlimited names according to his unlimited qualities, his unlimited relationships, and his unlimited pastimes. This word Krishna is very significant because it means the all-attractive one. Just imagine a diamond, a beautiful diamond. Now, the diamonds have what are called facets. They're different faces, little flat surfaces all over the diamond. So the more facets the diamond has, the more it's considered an opulent and beautiful diamond. So Krishna is a diamond with unlimited facets. Each facet on that, each of those unlimited facets on that unlimited diamond, there's a different name for that facet. Govinda, Gopi Jana Ballava, Radha Raman, even other names like Jehovah or Allah. These are all different facets on this diamond, you see. But there's one name, and each facet is very, very attractive. In fact, each facet on that diamond is unlimitedly attractive. So the name Krishna is the lump name that includes all the unlimited, the infinite, all attractive facets. You see, the all attractive one, it includes all the facets. It doesn't focus in on any one particular quality, pastime, or relationship of Krishna. But it includes everything. It's the all-inclusive name. So if there's any, Prabhupada said God does not have any one particular name, but if there's any one particular name for God, that is Krishna. That's how Prabhupada explains. Why does he like peacock feathers? I love these questions. These are great. Is it children asking these questions? These are very nice questions. Very good. Yes. Please keep asking questions like this. These are very nice questions. Krishna likes peacock feathers because they're really cool, and they're really cool looking. I mean, they really are. They're so cool that even on the iPhone, if you get an iPhone, they have the peacock feather there for the background. And they have a lotus flower also as one of the backgrounds that comes stock with the iPhone. And they're really cool looking, the peacock feather. Of course, that Stephen Jobs used to take prasadam at the temple. May have something to do with it. When he used to be a hippie. Before he started Apple Computers, he was a hippie, living on hardly anything in Seattle. And every week he would go once a week to get a good meal at the Hare Krishna temple. He said, "I loved it." So that may have had something to do with the peacock feather on the iPhone now. All that prasadam that he ate. So anyway, his obeisance is the same as Dandavats. Yes and no. There's one obeisance where you're not completely flat on the ground. And there's another obeisance when you're flat as a stick on the ground, you see. Dandavat is a certain type of obeisances. It's fully flat on the ground obeisances. That is dandavat. Danda means stick and vat means like a stick, literally, like a stick. Maharaj, in regards to the question on describing Lord Chaitanya Shikshastakam and Sraddha Prema, His Holiness Mahanidhi Swami described this. All right, it's interesting to know. Be interesting to see that. He must have gotten it from some authorized writing. I'm sure he didn't just invent it. He must have gotten it from one of our acharyas. That'd be interesting. Yeah, I'll put this in my pocket. It'd be interesting to study that for our next Sraddha Prema seminar. What some acharya has written about the Shikshastakam Prema. So we got 5 minutes left. If there's no more questions, we'll just try to do a wrap up here. Any questions more coming? Here comes one. Okay. Why does Krishna wear a yellow dhoti? Why does he like dairy products? Well, what do you think about the taste of ice cream? Do you think ice cream tastes pretty good? You like ice cream? Huh? You like ice cream? Isn't it good? Yeah, dairy products are really good. I mean, they're really, really good. Now, usually the milk we get nowadays, honestly, it doesn't taste very good. But you know what? The milk is highly adulterated. I'm really happy because at our place where we have my headquarters in Austin, Texas, there's some company nearby there. They call themselves Remember When Dairy, and they have milk that's not pasteurized and it's not homogenized. They do a low temperature pasteurization, and it's It's devotees. Some devotees are connected with that company.
Not company.
It's owned by devotees. And they go once a week to the farmer's market and they deliver all this Remember When milk, and there's cream on the top. And when you drink that milk, it's like pure ambrosia. I go, wow, this is what milk really is supposed to taste like. But after I drink the other milk, they sell, it's like chalk water compared to this. When you actually get real milk right out of the cow, I mean, it is so delicious. You just go, wow, this is really, really good. I'd love to go back to Austin now because I get the real milk when I go back to Austin. If you want to get the real milk, come and visit us in Austin. I'll give you the real milk, you see. The way it was, the way it used to be when Krishna was drinking it out of the cows, you see. So dairy products are very good. Prabhupada explains that by drinking milk, one develops the finer brain tissues for understanding transcendental knowledge. Some people have lactose intolerance, they can't drink milk. But I did one study I did, it was stated this is because the milk is so much, this homogenization makes it very hard to digest. You see, they process the milk in such a way it's hard to digest it. But milk in its original pure form, you drink it when it's hot. It's very, very digestible, and it nourishes the brain very, very nicely for understanding Vedic wisdom, for memorizing verses. Why does he play the flute? Well, all I can say is when you hear him play the flute, you'll know why he plays the flute. Krishna, when he plays the flute, it's so sweet and it's so beautiful. Even the cows are enchanted, you see. I mean, think about all the musicians of this world who attracted so many people, like the Beatles, for example. You ever see an animal that heard a Beatles song was going, oh, the animals aren't, you see. But when Krishna played his flute, even the animals would go, oh. They would just go into ecstasy. Even the animals would go into ecstasy, you see. So there's nothing more attractive than Krishna's flute. There's nothing more attractive than Krishna's flute. That's why he plays the flute, because it's the most beautiful instrument. And he has many different flutes also. Many different varieties of flutes. So anyway, now our time is up. And I just really wanted to thank you all for coming here and participating in this Sraddha to Prema seminar. I will be coming, for those of you who are new to my seminars, I do them, well, we haven't finalized it, but do you want us to come twice a year or once a year? What do you think? Once is enough? Once is all you can handle? You want us to come twice a year? Will you come to our next seminar if we have it? It would be at Glen Getty in the winter time. How many will come if we come twice a year? All right. Now, how many of you are now chanting 16 rounds every day? Okay. How many of you are not but would like to be chanting 16 rounds every day? All right. So now all of you, starting tomorrow, or today if possible, 16 rounds, okay? All right, good. And so now I'll turn it over to our Adi Purusha Prabhu. So we thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Srila Sankarshan Das Adhikari Maharaj ki jai.